So for me, my energy, my values, my integrity, my peace of mind, and my self worth, my self respect, all these things are extremely important, like a treasure. And I cannot just keep it open that anybody can come and, use it or abuse it or misuse it.
So, how to identify if someone lacks self love?
Totally unaware of the fact that it is them who are supposed to love themselves first, and everybody else will follow them
Of course.
later. Okay, so this is the second reason. The third reason I feel is
In all cultures, basically, we are taught to love everyone else around us.
Yeah.
Love your neighbors, love your teachers, love your siblings. But I don't think any parent says us to love ourselves first.
hello and welcome to the new episode of our podcast From You to You. Here we discuss all the possibilities of becoming the best version of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. I am Afreen Khan, a certified yoga teacher and a healthy lifestyle coach.
Hey there, I am Shireen Khan and I am a certified life coach.
Well, today we are going to discuss a topic that is very close to my heart for so many reasons, and this is something which is not related to just one particular age group or a particular gender. It is for each and everyone. Before we move further, I would like to quote Buddha. He said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the whole world, deserve your love and affection." It means Buddha is talking about self love. So, for according to him, self love and self affection is equally important as you love and care for someone else,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
So today we are going to talk about self love and my journey of self love, how I struggled, and how I, went through different stages of my life, and what really introduced me to myself and what made me fall in love with myself. So that's what we are going to discuss today.
Okay, this topic interests me really because I have had struggles myself for many years with self love,
Yeah.
and I know it is not very easy. It is very easy to love other people, but not very easy to love yourself.
Yeah.
So, what exactly is self love?
Well, Shireen, every person has a different definition of self love, and which is totally right. I think we all have different circumstances, different situations in life, we go through different experiences, and based upon that, we define self love. But if you ask me, my definition of self love would be prioritizing my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual needs while respecting my boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the process of self love, it is very important that I respect my boundaries and my limitations, and while doing so, I am taking care of my other needs, which are emotional, physical, mental, etc. So, when these two things are in a balance, then I would say that yes, I am in a state of self love.
Yeah. So, you are saying having boundaries is also part of self love. So, does that mean if someone does not have healthy boundaries, they lack self love?
Yes, I would like to think so. And I'm not saying this out of reading some book or, just listening to someone else talking. This is from my personal experience. Now, let me ask you one thing. Why do you think we build boundaries? Even if you build a home, why are there boundaries?
Boundaries or walls, I think, to maybe protect. who is living inside?
Absolutely. The purpose of building walls or boundaries are to protect what is inside of it. Okay, so let me give you an example. So there is a king, and he has been praying for a long time so that he find a medicine or something that will keep him young forever. So one day God gives him a gift, and there is this stone, and every 10 years he needs to kiss the stone, and this stone will bring back his lost 10 years. So this way he remains young forever. Now, this is supposed to be protected because the whole world is trying to rob this stone because it's very precious. So, what this king does, he builds a beautiful mansion, and in the mansion, he hides this stone somewhere and builds a massive wall around it, around the mansion, so that nobody can enter except him. So here, the only reason that he spends all that amount of money and wealth to build this place is only to protect what is extremely valuable to him,
Yeah.
right? So when I talk about myself, so for me, my energy, my values, my integrity, my peace of mind, and my self-worth, my self-respect, all these things are extremely important, like a treasure, and I cannot just keep it open that anybody can come and use it or abuse it or misuse it. So it is important that I build boundaries and I protect myself, so that nobody can take advantage of it. So according to me, yes, building boundaries around yourself is also part of self love.
Wow, I mean, I have never heard someone explain boundaries so beautifully. So, how to identify if someone lacks self love?
Well, Shireen, it is not very difficult to identify, to be honest, because a person with lack of self-love exhibits certain characteristics which make it quite evident for anyone to identify them. I'm sure many of us have been in a relationship with someone who had lack of self-love, or maybe we know someone, maybe our colleague, someone in our family, they show lack of self-love.
Personal experience as
Yes,
well.
even my personal experience. So it's not very difficult. One of the signs that I have noticed of people who lack self love is lack of self confidence. Now, it could be due to a lack of self worth or low self esteem, it could be, but these people exhibit lack of self confidence. They avoid eye contact when they talk to you, and the voice is also kind of shaky when they talk to you, and it is very evident that they are somewhere showing lack of self confidence.
Yeah. One of the signs is lack of self confidence, but lack of self confidence not necessarily means only lack of self love, right? There could be other reasons as well.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. Lack of self confidence could be due to lack of self awareness. Also, can exhibit the different other things like some mental disorder, maybe some family problem, childhood abuse, could be trauma, could be anything. So, it is not necessary that every person who is going through lack of self confidence is also in lack of self love. Okay,
Yeah.
but every person who has lack of self love could show lack of self confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so yes, like we discussed, the person who has lack of self love shows lack of self confidence. It could be due to multiple reasons, and there could be inferiority complex in this person,
Yeah.
and they are constantly comparing themselves with others, and in their mind other people are better and superior and they are inferior. It is extremely sad, to be honest, when we are going through that thinking process, because our mind is constantly degrading each and everything about ourselves. We are not able to appreciate who we are. We are not able to value the struggles that we have been through, or the achievements that we have achieved so far. So whatever that we have done, everything becomes insignificant and unimportant, because in our mind we are constantly comparing ourselves with others.
Yeah.
And this comparison puts us in so much trouble and so much pressure that we kind of become unhappy and ungrateful at the same time. So being unhappy and ungrateful at the same time, low self confidence, and lack of I would say self worth, all these things put together, a person shows lack of self love. Okay, also they show a characteristic where they are trying to please others, or we can call it a doormat personality. Now this is something which I have been guilty of myself.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah, back in the days, when I was unaware of all these things, I remember there was this time when I was trying to tone down my energy, trying to act in a way which I am not
Tone down? What do you mean?
means I was told that I come off bit intimidating and aggressive. So if I want to make more friends and I want to come as more friendly, I should talk a little bit soft. I mean, I should behave in a way which is more acceptable as per the
Wow.
norms of the society. I maybe I misinterpreted the whole statement that I was told, but
You are already so friendly.
maybe because you know me, and people, that is the beauty of it, Shireen. No matter who you are, what world perceives you, and this world who don't even know you, but people who know you, they are your family members or maybe your close friends, they will always understand you no matter what. And you don't really need to pretend in a way which is not you. So even by being true to yourself and being real, you will be loved and accepted by your true family members and friends. Unfortunately, I did not know this back then. And I remember at work, especially because I wanted to make friends with my colleagues and I wanted to appear more friendly and someone who fits in. That was the whole scenario, because I felt I am standing out, so I should behave in a way which is like, which will make me fit in, right?
Yeah.
So that was the entire struggle about. And yes, I was acting in a way which I am not. And soon I realized that no matter how hard I try, I am not being respected, and people don't really care, no matter how sweet you are. Okay, because everyone is thinking about themselves, and this is a completely different world out there. So then I remember we discussed that how I'm trying to please everybody, and you told me the concept of doormat personality, that people pleaser personality type. And I remember that made me feel so sad. The word doormat, it made me feel so less of myself that I was crying for a couple of days, because kind of really hurt me that what am I doing to myself. But the it is okay, we all make mistakes and we all behave in a way which is not acceptable
Yes,
sometimes,
of course.
but we need to find out why and what is the root cause. And when we discussed and I took your help, then we found out that there is lack of self love, and that is the reason I'm trying to please others, because I'm not happy somewhere deep down with myself. And we needed to fix that, which we
Yeah.
did. And I am so grateful that today I am out of that situation, or I'm out of that feeling where I was constantly feeling to please others,
Yeah,
right?
of course. So, kind of shifting the focus from outward to inward, that has helped here.
Absolutely. So this is something which we can, notice in a person who lacks self-love. One more thing which also I have been guilty of, and I have also observed in so many people who lack self-love, is they shy away when you pass a compliment to them. I mean, they are extremely sensitive to accept the compliments.
Yeah.
A reason being they feel they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Okay, deep down they are feeling, oh, I am not worthy of a compliment. I am not special. I am maybe below average.
Yeah.
I am not there yet.
I have a similar experience, you know.
Hmm.
This is like way back when
Hmm.
I started doing jobs, and it was my first year in the job. Still, like I performed exceptionally well, and I was awarded Employee of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I remember I was having some chat with the regional director, and he was praising me, and I was like, "Oh, this is no big deal. It was what I was supposed to do, right? Nothing special." So it was not like the words that I said, but I remember how I felt. I was actually very embarrassed because he
Hmm.
praised me.
Yeah.
So I remember he told me that whenever a compliment is given, you should learn to accept it because you are given it because you deserve it.
Right.
And you have done everything, you have worked so hard to deserve it.
Yeah.
And it kind of blew my mind, you know, how I
Yeah.
was degrading myself. Now that you are talking about self love,
Mhm.
I can go back in time and I can observe myself lacking self love back then.
Yeah, yes, it has happened to me too. I mean, uh, I have been exhibiting this behavior as well. And honestly, now that I am healed and out of this situation, but I really feel sorry when I go back in time. And I think we should not go back in time, but only to remember
Yeah,
your progress and be grateful for all the journey that you have, come a long, long way.
of
So
course.
yes, I think a person who lacks self-love is in a place or a situation which is like a dark place, kind of, where you don't really value yourself in general, and but you are not supposed to be at one place permanently.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of being human. We are not a tree that we
Yeah.
cannot move. So we are given all the tools, all the equipments, all the power, and all the resources all around us. We can use them and transform ourselves.
Yeah,
I did, you did, and everyone can do it.
of course.
Yeah.
So now that we discussed the signs of how a person looks like when they lack self love,
Mhm.
and I could compare it, you know, with my own story and with my own experiences.
Mhm.
But still, like, I couldn't understand even back then and even today. What are the reasons that people lack self love?
Shireen, that's a good question. And frankly speaking, there are so many reasons. Different people have different reasons. So, whatever that we are going to discuss, you might have one reason or you might have multiple. But yes, there is always a reason behind your behavior. The first reason, which I feel was also in my case, and it is majority of the people who lack self-love. I have studied and I have interviewed many of them, and I have observed as well. So it is lack of self-awareness. I think self-awareness is the foundation stone, okay, for the entire building of your
Improvement.
improvement and
Yeah.
self development. So the whole journey begins with self awareness.
Awareness.
So what happens is when we are not aware of ourselves, and when we say self awareness, it is about our strengths, our weaknesses, our background, then who we are, our each,
Values,
yes,
beliefs.
values, beliefs, everything.
Yeah.
You are supposed to be aware of each and everything about yourself. And when you become aware, automatically you develop this strength within you, which kind of changes everything. It changes your perspective about yourself. So, when we are not self aware, what happens is we are directionless and we are clueless and we are valueless, and all these things put together, we don't know whom to believe and what to believe.
Yeah.
It is said that if you don't know who you are, the world will tell you, and you need to act according to that. Okay, and we cannot expect the world to always be in your favor.
Of course.
right? So people will take advantage of you when they find out that you are not self-aware. So I think self-awareness is the number one reason we lack self-love. The other reason could be your childhood history. When we look at an adult, we can say a lot about their childhood.
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
the way they behave, the language they use, um, the characteristic and the entire personality, the way they exhibit, we can say how their childhood might have been. Same is about self love as well. So, if someone has gone through some form of trauma or abuse, could be physical abuse, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, there are spaces in their mind which are empty, okay? And these empty spaces don't fill automatically unless they work on it.
Mm.
So when they grow up, they become like little bit broken, okay? So these are the broken adults. They lack self-love, okay? The other reason could be their parents, they did not give them a very good example of how love looks like or how self-love looks like. So they don't really know how it feels. They never had role models growing up.
Yeah.
That could be one of the reasons.
It doesn't even have to be childhood trauma. I think in general, in all cultures basically, we are taught to love everyone else around us.
Yeah.
Love your neighbors, love your teachers, love your siblings. But I don't think any parent says us to love ourselves first.
Yeah, unless the parents are self aware,
Yeah, of
they have
course.
done work on themselves, they have healed their own wounds. I don't think they are in a position to share this kind of wisdom with their kids.
Yeah.
And so that is the reason when these kids grow up and they become adults, they are completely unaware of the concept of self love, and they are trying so hard to find it in other people. They are constantly trying to find a partner who would love them, find someone who would love them, and totally unaware of the fact that it is them who are supposed to love themselves first,
Yeah.
and everybody else will follow them
Of course.
later. Okay, so this is the second reason. The third reason I feel is mental health issues. Okay, because what happens is if you are going through any form of mental illness, it gives you depression. Now, about depression, I have read somewhere, depression can be defined a state of existence or state of human existence where your mind wants to die but your body is alive.
Wow.
So you can imagine the kind of struggle a person goes through on daily basis when he is going through depression. Now, depression is present in most of the mental health disorders and mental health issues. So what happens is if you have depression, you don't really feel like taking care of yourself. And I think when you are struggling just to survive on daily basis, self love doesn't really come into picture,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
all we can do is we can be only kind towards these people who have
Struggles.
struggle with
Yeah.
depression or mental health issues, but this certainly adds a lot and lot of weight in their mind, which kind of prevents them from loving themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the next reason, which is very common among women, I have studied, is they feel self-love is selfish.
Guilty.
Yeah, me too. So because in our society women are the ones who have multiple roles, okay? So a woman is a mother, she is a wife, she also is working somewhere or running her own business, so she has that professional responsibility as well. She is also daughter to someone, and she is a friend, right?
Of
So
course.
there are so many different roles that she is playing at the same time. And what happens is, you have 24 hours like everybody else, and in these 24 hours you have these five different responsibilities. And when you are fulfilling these five different responsibilities, automatically, sometimes you don't even think about yourself. And even if you do think, it feels like selfish because you prioritize the needs and demands of your husband or your children or maybe workplace. So while you are prioritizing other people and their responsibilities and demands, you kind of ignore your own responsibilities or whatever that you are supposed to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You forget to do that, and even when you remember it, it seems like totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember this friend of mine, she wanted to go for manicure over the weekend. Okay, and she booked the appointment and everything, and she was super excited. And over the weekend there was some work related call. She had to attend a Zoom meeting over the weekend, and she prioritized that over her own self care routine. And obviously she couldn't go to the salon, and there is no manicure, because she felt that in that moment or over the weekend that was more important.
When I was doing self work with a life coach that I had hired back in the day, this came up, and I think through that experience, I learned what self love is.
Mhm.
So I have worked in different jobs, okay, for about 10 years now. And of those 10 years, I would say I have skipped having breakfast for about 7 to 8 years.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I would start working very early, and by the time I should be having my breakfast, there would be some meeting, or my team is waiting to talk to me, or my boss had called me in, and I would feel like it is my responsibility that I should be attending that first, because I am the number one employee, and that's what a number one employee does.
Yeah.
And after that, the time for the breakfast is gone.
Right.
And I would be completely okay with that. That's the most surprising part. So with my coach, I have identified that this was major lack of self love that has happened to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am sure there are consequences of every action. And 7 years skipping breakfast, that might have caused a major damage to your health. Being a health coach, I can completely understand that, and I'm really sorry to hear this. But I think we are only responsible for our
Yeah, of
actions.
course, nobody's fault.
Yeah.
Not like my boss said this to me or my teammates said this to me.
Yeah.
It was my own assumption that, to be a best employee, I should be skipping my own needs.
Yeah, it's like for you that was the priority.
Of course.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad now that you have worked with your coaches and fixed this problem, and I'm sure now you are leading a healthy lifestyle.
Of course.
But I also know there are so many people out there. I have many friends, and we have family members who somewhere sometime are behaving in a way which screams lack of self-love.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are, I feel, some of the reasons we lack self-love.
Self love is right now a work in progress for me, and I wouldn't know even if I see a person with self love.
Yeah.
So it is for my knowledge and my understanding how to spot if a person is practicing self love.
Great question. Because once you heal, okay, from your past trauma, whatever baggages that you have been carrying, all that self-loathing and self-harming behavior, self-critical behavior, self-hatred at so many places. So when you come out of this dark place, there is a bright light. Okay, a person with self-love radiate a completely different kind of light and different kind of energy. The way you can identify a person without self-love, same way you can also identify a person with self-love. I have observed, and even my personal experience, the number one thing that happens is you become completely self-aware. You would notice a person with self-love is they are very confident, they are very self-confident, because they have worked on their self-awareness, and they very well know their strengths and who they are as a person. They become extremely confident about everything.
Yeah.
And they don't really pay much attention to the external criticism or validation. Because they love themselves, they very well know who they are. Many times people confuse self love with narcissistic behavior. So even a narcissist would not pay attention to what others say, or even if there is a healthy criticism, they would completely ignore, because in their mind they are perfect.
Yeah.
So please do not misunderstand or confuse these two concepts. A person with self love is he has very healthy image of himself of or herself. They are aware of the criticism as well. So if someone criticizes this person, they will think about it definitely, but if there is no such thing, then they would ignore it. They would not feel like they are perfect, but they also know that okay, the criticism that is being done is not who they are, so they are kind of confident about it. That is one thing. The second thing is they have very strong boundaries. Okay, so they know the power of saying no.
Yeah.
Okay, so back in the days when I was struggling with lack of self love, I still remember it was very hard and difficult for me to say no. Okay, so even if I am not comfortable with some demand, or even if I am not free at the moment, I have certain type of limitation of time or whatever. If someone asks me a favor, I wouldn't be able to say no. Okay,
Been there,
so
done that.
yeah, and I don't want to really discuss much, but now that I have completely healed that part of me, I don't find any problem or any difficulty if I have to say no. So, because for you, your boundaries are important, your limitations are important, you value yourself. So, a person with self love has absolutely no problem saying no if they are not comfortable doing something.
Yeah.
Now, a person who has self love, they have self goals and dreams, and they constantly believe in working on those goals. If you don't have self love, for example, for you, the other person's goals or other person's dreams are everything. You might have seen in so many couples as well. So one partner wants to go to some other country,
Yeah.
because they want to pursue their dream. The other partner, because they have nothing going on in their own life, they don't mind leaving everything behind and tagging along. That is okay if both of them want it, but soon the other partner loses the respect for their partner, because they feel that the other person does not have any life of
Yeah.
their own.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, so a person who has self love, they have their own dreams as well. They are constantly working on those dreams. Simultaneously, they are taking care of themselves. They make sure that they exercise, they eat healthy, they are happy people, they radiate happiness. And because they are constantly working on themselves, they make sure that their physical, mental, emotional, psychological needs are being met. They love to shop for themselves, they wear beautiful colors. One more thing that we cannot ignore about people who love themselves is their kindness and compassion that extends towards themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is proven now that none of us have reached this place or this moment without making couple of mistakes,
Of
right?
course.
We all have made mistakes, we all have committed certain errors, I would say, which we regret today. And yes, it is totally up to you whether you want to cling and hold on to those mistakes, or you just want to take the lesson and move on. Now, people who have healed themselves and embarked on this journey of self love, they make sure that they have forgiven themselves for all the past mistakes. They have only taken the lessons that they have learned through those mistakes, and use those lessons as a ladder to only climb up. So they are very kind towards themselves, and they are also kind towards others. Self love also have lot of self compassion, and thus they are kind not only towards themselves but others as well. Once you start loving yourself, your self worth really goes up, your integrity improves, and you do not tolerate any form of disrespect from anyone. And because you have so much love for yourself, so much respect for your journey inside your mind, that even a small amount of disrespect becomes, intolerable. You are no more needy, your attachments are healthy, you have absolutely no problem to say goodbye to someone who is not valuing or respecting your values. And that's why you are confident, not only confident but brave.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you are completely fine being with yourself in your own company until you find the right partner, right colleague, right friend, or someone right to be in your company.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. For me, if it is not a destination, it's certainly the road that I have taken.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you have had your struggles with self love.
Yeah.
I was wondering when and how you identified that you lacked self love, and what did you do when you identified that?
Shireen, like I said, my struggle with self love was tough. I won't say it came easy, and I don't think it comes easy to anybody. It took me a lot of time and so much efforts. I worked really hard on myself to be at a place where I am today, completely loving myself and being confident in my, my own
Skin.
so my journey of self love started with very basic and fundamental thing, that is self awareness. Okay, and I believe the same road everybody takes in the beginning, that is self awareness. Okay, without it this journey cannot start. For me, self awareness happened with yoga.
Wow.
Yeah, so in the previous episode, I remember I have explained, when I was young, physically I struggled a lot because of my anemia and very low hemoglobin, and it made me extremely weak physically. There came a point where even daily activities became difficult to me. I couldn't even walk sometimes, few
Wow.
steps. So that was the level of weakness I felt. So I reached at the peak of my weakness, and then I decided to reject it. And with positive approach and all the optimism that I gathered, I decided to start this journey of yoga. When I started practicing yoga, everything changed. My journey of self love started with yoga. So it won't be wrong if I say I give my complete credit of self love journey to yoga. So when I started practicing yoga, I was completely unaware of myself. Okay, there was no clarity in my mind of my personal goals and what I wanted to do. I did not know who I was as a person. And when I started practicing, yoga filled my mind with so much clarity. Okay, so first thing that happened was I became completely self-aware. Okay, and when I say self-aware, it means it introduced me to my feminine side. Now I started to understand who I was. I realized my strengths, my weaknesses. It also gave me a direction that where I wanted to go. Before yoga, I had no specific passion in my life, and I feel passion, or not hobby, but I'm talking about passion, something you do and your soul dances, when you do it. So that kind of passion was absent in my life before yoga. But when I started practicing, I found my passion. Every time I would practice yoga, my heart would fill with gratitude and joy and real happiness. And that kind of made me enlightened from within. The second thing is the discipline that I learned out of yoga. Growing up, my father always talked about discipline and the importance of discipline. He's a very disciplined guy himself. But when we are young, we kind of understand these concepts, even though we listen to our parents, but we don't really understand what it means.
Yeah.
But when we grow up, we understand the clarity of all these concepts. So self discipline is something I heard many times as a kid, but I completely understood it when I started practicing yoga. I would wake up really early in the morning at 4:30 a.m. and practice yoga, and that was my schedule every day. So waking up early, going to bed early. I was very careful when I'm eating my lunch and eating my dinner and breakfast as well. So when I'm eating, what I am eating, where I am going, when I am going, if I'm hanging out, what day of the week it is. So each and everything that I was doing, I was being very mindful and very careful that okay, nothing should cross my schedule and nothing should break my discipline. So I made sure that everything I do that aligns with my goal, which is being expert at yoga or becoming master of it. So I became very disciplined person, and I am very grateful that I became one, because discipline is not only important for your daily day-to-day life, but no matter what you want to achieve in your life, you cannot do it without discipline. So I personally am a big advocate of discipline. The third thing that happened when I started practicing yoga was I became aware of my insecurities. Okay, so when I am practicing, I am very well in touch with myself. I am meditating, I am being very mindful, I am performing a certain pose. I exactly know if I am flexible or not, if I am strong enough. When I became aware of my insecurities, it gave me an opportunity to work on them. Okay, so if I am practicing with, let's say, 10 different girls around me, and I'm looking at each one of them and comparing myself, that okay, she is more flexible, she is more strong, she looks prettier, she has a better yoga outfit than I do. All those sort of insecurities which look like very small, but they are there, insecurity is there. So I became aware of those insecurities, and I got an opportunity to fix them and work on them. So now I became more confident and more accepting of myself. Yoga taught me to forgive myself for my weaknesses, and that everything requires patience. In the beginning it took me months to master even the simple poses, because my core strength was almost zero. I was flexible, but it would be very hard for me to work on these poses. But yoga taught me perseverance, hard work, dedication, and at the same time the power of never giving up. So I became a person who knows what she wants, and she believes in not never giving up. She is very confident, not comparing herself to anybody else, and extremely grateful for the journey. So I became very grateful. The second thing I cannot ignore is I fell in love with my appearance as well. Before yoga, I was not into wearing bright colors or even jewelry. I used to live a life which was very simple, and I wouldn't pay much attention to how I would look and appear. But yoga kind of introduced me to my feminine side, and I would really, I was very skinny, right? I was very skinny and weak, but with yoga, I started to feel this strength, strength, physical strength within me. And at the same time, I realized that my body have muscles now. It's like, I felt there is a healthy transformation happening even physically, in my appearance as well. So it really excited me and encouraged me to do shopping for myself, wear beautiful colors and jewelry. So that part of my transformational journey started there. And I am so glad. I mean, today if you see me wearing beautiful outfits or jewelry or makeup or whatever, so the foundation of this entire new me was done back then when I started practicing yoga. So all these things happened simultaneously, and not just overnight. It took me almost a decade to be where I am today.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an easy journey. Many times you feel like nothing is happening, but the art of never giving up really helps. And today, when I remember all the obstacles that I have faced, and all the times when I was about to give up but I did not, it made me respect myself even more. So this journey was worth
Taking.
taking
Yeah.
and extremely valuable. I am so
Absolutely.
grateful of where I am today, and that's how I feel yoga being my passion and a support system really helped me to fall in love with myself. So this
Yeah.
is how my overall journey I can sum up for you.
Yeah, of course, it's a beautiful journey, a lot to learn from.
Yeah,
So, in an essence, believe what you're trying to say is that finding out that one passion that you want to maybe perceive in your
yeah,
life, and through the love of that passion, you can fall in love with yourself, and
absolutely.
both the things go hand in hand.
Absolutely. I think if you don't have any passion in your life, life becomes extremely boring.
And
Okay?
dull, yeah,
Yeah, boring and dull. No matter, it doesn't matter, what you become as a guy, as a professional. Maybe you are a scientist, a pilot, maybe a doctor. No matter what profession that you are in, maybe you are um, achieving big in your profession, but if you lack a passion, you will not find the real joy.
yeah,
And only real joy or source of real joy will make you fall in love with yourself
of
and
course.
discover who you truly are. So this is my journey, and I believe through our experiences and through my story, I would be able to inspire someone out there. And if you also have something similar, please go ahead and feel free to share with us. This is it in today's episode. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. And we will see you in the next episode. Until then, keep working on yourself and stay fit.